National Electrical Code Section 110.26 code addresses access and working space around electrical equipment. It states that equipment must be arranged to provide adequate access for operation and maintenance. However, it recognizes that sometimes providing adequate access while adhering to the minimum clearance requirements specified in sections 110.26 through 110.26d is not possible. In such cases, exceptions are permitted. Exception number 2 within section 110.26 code provides a specific allowance. This exception states that equipment that is not likely to require examination, adjustment, servicing, or maintenance after installation is not required to comply with the clearance requirements outlined in sections 110.26 through 110.26d. The application of this exception hinges on the likelihood of future maintenance or servicing. The authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, plays a crucial role in determining whether this exception applies to a particular installation. The AHJ decision is based on their assessment of the equipment's characteristics and the likelihood of future work being performed on it. This exception can be particularly relevant when replacing existing electrical equipment, such as service switchgear, in situations where space is constrained. If replacing the switchgear with modern, often deeper, cabinets would result in a violation of the minimum required working clearances, this exception might offer a solution. For the AHJ to consider this exception, it must be determined that the switchgear is of a type that does not typically require routine maintenance or servicing after it has been properly installed. If the AHJ agrees with this assessment and also finds that it is impractical to provide the full minimum clearances as specified in the code, they may allow a reduction in the required working space. When an AHJ is evaluating the applicability of this exception, several factors should be taken into consideration. Firstly, the type and configuration of the switchgear itself is important. Different types of switchgear may have varying maintenance requirements. Secondly, the likelihood of future maintenance or servicing needs to be realistically assessed. This assessment should consider the equipment's design, its operating environment, and the manufacturer's recommendations. Thirdly, the availability of alternative access methods should be explored. For example, if the working space is reduced, can ladders, platforms, or other means be used to safely access the equipment for inspection or maintenance? In cases where the AHJ allows a reduction in working space based on this exception, they may also require the implementation of additional safety measures. These measures could include the placement of warning signs to alert personnel to the reduced space, or the implementation of lock-out-tag-out procedures to ensure that the equipment is energized before any work is performed. It is critical that the AHJ decision to allow a reduced working space is properly documented and justified in writing. This documentation should clearly state the reasons for the exception, the factors that were considered, and any additional safety measures that are required. This documentation serves as a record of the decision and can be valuable for future reference. It is important to understand that the application of this exception is not automatic. It requires a thorough evaluation by the AHJ and a determination that the specific circumstances warrant a deviation from the standard clearance requirements. Consulting with the AHJ early in the planning process is essential. This allows for a discussion of the project's constraints, the equipment's characteristics, and the potential applicability of this exception. The AHJ can provide guidance on the information and documentation needed to support a request for a reduced working space. It is also important to remember that even if this exception is applied, all other applicable requirements of the National Electrical Code must still be met. This includes requirements for conductor ampacity, overcurrent protection, grounding, and other safety-related aspects of the electrical installation. The exception only addresses the specific issue of working space clearances. Understanding the nuances of this exception and working closely with the AHJ can help to ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation even when faced with space limitations during equipment replacement. Always consult with the AHJ to determine if this exception applies to the situation and to understand any specific requirements they may impose.